This production is sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. So, good evening, one and all. Just, of course, an hour or two now away from round number 26 of the Betfred Super League. Good evening, Mr. Sale. How are you? Oh, can't hear you, Mr. Sale. You're on mute, Mr. Sale.
Good evening, mate. Sorry.
Good evening. It's all right. It's not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. A couple of announcements, of course, have come out. The worst kept secret in Super League, Liam Byrne has joined the Warrington Wolves. Who'd have thought that?
Yeah, no, I've only been talking about that one since February, I think. So,
yeah, one of the worst kept secrets known to man. Simbakin to leave Castleford. He's not been bad. He's just been out injured too much, hasn't he?
Injuries and discipline. Yeah, he's been a decent player for Casper. I can see why they want to move on from him.
Yeah, and of course, Tom Briscoe, an extra year for him at Hull FC has been announced literally just prior to us coming on air. We were talking about it pre-show. To be fair, that's a reasonable signing. He's not going to be taking up too much cap space, and he's when he's been called upon this year, he's been handy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been decent. He's been pretty steady away for FC. So good for him. And I suspect next year will probably be more of a cover role for them. But he no doubt he still knows the way to the try line, as he proved at the weekend.
Absolutely. So, of course, we'll keep our eye on all that good stuff over the coming days. I'm sure we'll be discussing that in weekly. Any more announcements that are made? Good evening to Heather Bailey, Greg Roach is with us, Tony Pennington, Keith Lambert, Ben Macklin's with us as always. Rebecca Frey is in the chat as well. I'm sure there's plenty more coming in. We're going to be taking you right the way up to kick-off like we always do, and we're going to be getting into some analysis as well along the way. Of course, this is what we have got to look forward to this weekend, starting this evening at Headingley. Leeds Rhinos taking on the Catalan Dragons. Then, of course, tomorrow night, Wigan entertain the Castleford Tigers, the big one. Lee Leopards up against the Saints at the LSV. That one is one not to be missed. Then an intriguing affair for no other reason than it's just intriguing. Warrington against FC. Of course, both teams having to make major changes in terms of the squad. We'll be discussing that. So that should make that quite an interesting game. Then, of course, Wakey against FC. That should be interesting. Can Wakey bounce back? I mean, Wakey, let's be crystal clear, have not been great. They've been a little bit jittery of late. They'll be wanting to get back on track against KR. Of course, KR wants to wrap up the Shield. That's got all the makings of being a really good game as well on Saturday at 5:30. And then, of course, last but not least, the Giants taking on the Salford Red Devils. It's quite a lineup, Steph, isn't it?
It is, and for the back end of the season to still have some games that actually mean something for pretty much all of them. Apart from the Giants, Salford, I think that's the only one really that hasn't got some form of implication with it, which is great.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Of course, this is the league table after 25 rounds. Now, hey, we'll get to it in a minute, but Wigan Warriors, imagine if they would have fought at the Castleford Tigers. That's the only way we've got a barnstorming round 27. I think if both Wigan and Leeds win this weekend, which is probably expected that they will, pretty much Wigan are probably tied up second. But if they were to fall unbelievably to the Castleford Tigers, what a game we've got next week between Wigan and Leeds. From a neutral perspective, that would be absolutely marvellous, wasn't it? Of course, all the Wigan fans now are going into meltdown at the very thought of it, but it would be intriguing, Mr. Sale.
It would, and but one thing we learned from last week with the Castleford Wakefield game was anything can still happen. There's no givens in Super League, so it still makes every game interesting.
It does indeed, and your old mate Shandy's in the chat, mate. Wishing you all the best as well.
Good evening, Shandy. Nice to see you, buddy.
Yeah, good evening, Shandy, indeed, Mr. Sale. Right, let's get into it then. Let's get into it, starting with this game tonight between the Leeds Rhinos and the Catalan Dragons. In Super League history, Leeds 28, the Catalan Dragons 20. The last 5 meetings, 3-2 to the Dragons. Who can forget Round 4 this season, 11-0 to the Dragons.
Yeah, it's Leeds bit of a bogey team against Catalan.
Yeah.
I do expect Leeds to turn them over this evening, but no Connor is obviously the big one, so that's going to be interesting to see. If they bring Jackson Field in, how their attack flows. I don't think they were overly impressive against Huddersfield, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in their attacking shape. I still expect them to be good defensively, and that's why I still fancy them to win and win quite comfortably. But it's how Catalan deal with this Leeds attack is going to be the most interesting thing for me, and whether Leeds can click and get the shapes together without Connor there.
Absolutely. They've come a long, long way, haven't they, of our Leeds Rhinos since round 26 of the 2023 season and lost 61-0. 61-0 to the Dragons. They've come a long way. In fact, both teams have come a long way since then, it has to be said. I mean, look, defensively, we know that Leeds are strong. We know that everything points that way. But like as you said, the Catalan Dragons are a bit of a bogey team for the Rhinos. You've already said it, of course. No Jake Connor. That's going to be fascinating tonight because, of course, listening to Brad Arthur's pre-match press conference, he seemed to intimate that he might not also be there for the Wigan game. So there's clearly an issue there. He seemed pretty relaxed that, if it was a grand final, he could, inject him up and get him on the field. So he didn't seem that he was going to rush him back. I got the feeling, I don't know if you've watched it, but I got the feeling from Brad Arthur that perhaps we won't see Jake Connor now until the first round of the playoffs. What were your thoughts?
Well, there's always going to be a bit of mind games with that, isn't there? Especially
Yeah.
with such a key player. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ran out of Wigan. But saying that, it all depends, I think, on results and what happens and whether they deem it's worth the risk to go for that second place if it's still viable. If the points differential, as in not the winning losing points, as in the points for and against,
Yeah.
if that's still a possibility for Leeds to get second, then they'll obviously risk him out, I imagine. But I think the other big miss for Leeds is obviously Ash Hanley's still not in the side. So
Yeah.
that's another one in terms of the back line. And this is what I'm saying about getting the shape together. And that's the most fascinating thing for me tonight is how well Leeds can cope with that adversity, because it is two key players for them in a centre and your half, and how the other lads step up, especially if it is Jackson Field. I know Alex really rates him and says that thinking, well, this is a game where when you're playing lesser opposition, it's not like they're playing Wigan or Saints or OKR tonight. So Jack should have a stormer, shouldn't he?
Well, he should, and we'll come on to that in a moment. I do agree with that. I mean, he seemed to intimate that Max Simpson will play again. He seemed to intimate that to me in his pre-match press conference, and maybe it'll be Max Simpson that deputises for Ash Handley in centre. Ryan Hall, of course, now just the one try away from drawing level with Paul Newlove in 18th place in the all-time British scorers list. Try scores that'll be. Well, no, sorry, no, be scorers. My apologies. All-time scorers list. Newlove on 347, Hall on 346. So one there for Ryan. As far as Catalan are concerned, again, a lot of people leaving the club. Are they going to put a shift in? I mean, Tommy Makinson's back. That, I suppose, is something to be happy about. And if he was to go over tonight, that'd be 200 tries in Super League for Tommy Makinson. If he was to go over tonight, that'd be a nice thing for Tommy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, phenomenal. Not many will get to that marker in their careers, so that's a phenomenal effort from Tommy. Good to see him back, and that will definitely be a big boost for them in terms of not only the try scoring, but the clearing up at the back and the meters he does with that, the hard yards.
Yeah.
So yeah, definite plus for them. But big loss for them, obviously, is Pangai Junior. When you're going up against a middle like Leeds have got. You need all your big forwards available. We know we've already said previously, Pangai Junior's probably not hit the expectations we would have expected this season. More so it looks from a fitness point of view for me. So that's interesting with him going to Warrington next year, whether Warrington can do the work in the S&C department and get him a lot fitter, because I think he needs to be to show the form where he had with the NRL and why everyone was so excited of him coming over to Catalan.
But what we know is when players don't look after the body, they do get injured a lot. And again, he's not there again this week. Is that's an interesting thing. There's no doubt about that. Whatsoever. I mean, look, when you look down the list, Catalan have got enough there to worry the Rhinos. And of course, with the Rhinos not having Jake Connor, that's a big problem. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that. That said, I mean, in the chat, Ben saying that, of course, young Presley Cassell isn't in the 21. But I think actually in the forward units, Palacia back. So that's good news for him. You know, to have Palacia back. Sam Lissone's there as well. Tom Holroyd back in the 21. So for me, I think in those forward positions, I think they're well stocked. I think for me, I expect Leeds to win. It's how well they play without Connor. That for me is the fascinating thing watching this. How do Leeds Rhinos play without Jake Connor? Because we've been used to him all year and he's been outstanding.
Yeah, and created, he's right up there on the assist, isn't he? You know, in terms of his not only his passing but his kicking game's been really good as well for try scoring opportunities. So yeah, that's the most interesting thing in terms of how the back line. I've no doubt their forwards are going to do a good job on Catalan. It's how the back line performs, and just on Cassell, it's a bit of an interesting one. I don't think that's a fitness thing. I think he's playing for the reserves in their semi-final this weekend.
Oh, well, that's the academy. Yeah, so it's the academy
It's
semi-final this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be why he's out. I mean, obviously, all eyes on this guy. We've had many a debate in the social with regards to Jack Sinfield, and of course, it will be Jack Sinfield we expect to deputise for Jake Connor. 9 appearances this season, 2 tries, 1 assist, 1 drop goal, 9 attacking kicks. I think he's got a normal conversion as well. 24 kicks in general play. Tackle efficiency of 84, which is around about what you'd expect from a halfback. They do get targeted. They're not. I mean, you do get the odd halfback that is very good indeed, but he's a young lad. He's developing that part of his game, so you wouldn't really read too much into that. 9 tackle busts this year, 1 break, 46 carries, 276. How much, there's got to come a point where the time is now for Jack Sinfield, and he's got to show that he can produce on a consistent basis. This could be that opportunity for him to say, yeah, I'm going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, and I'm going to show you what I'm about.
Yeah, but the time is tonight. I think he's had more than enough opportunities. You know, he's had 9 appearances this year. He's had a few seasons now where he's been in and around the squad. So there's none of this. He's a young lad coming through. It's time for Jack to step up tonight and really put on a show and show why he deserves to be at a club like Leeds Rhinos. That's going to come with pressure for him. But like I said earlier, they're not playing a top 6 side here. They're playing one of the worst teams in Super League this year. So there's no excuses for me. This is a game where, as an up and coming star in a star position, you need to come and show like Jack Farriman's done at Wigan when he stepped in for Bevan French. Jack's got to do the same impact tonight for me to show that he's capable of being at a club like Leeds.
Well, Steph never knows where I'm going to go. We are telepathic at times, me and you, Mr. Sale. Paul Bowman would love to see a Catalan win, but can't see it. Nicola Burton, well, good evening to you. Nice to see you. Because, yes, a comparison between 2 players of his age. So, Farriman, 19, a year younger, had 7 appearances. He scored 4 more tries, made the same amount of assists, more attacking kicks, slightly less kicks in general play. Yeah. George Whitby is 19. He's had 10 appearances, 1 more than Jack, scored 1 more try, made 2 more for his teammate. But here's the interesting thing with Whitby. 31 attacking kicks, 85 kicks in general play. St. Helens are quite comfortable with Whitby marshalling them around the field. Yeah. When you look at 9 appearances, and Jack Farriman doesn't need to worry about this because he has actually been playing alongside Harry Smith. So the reason his kicking stats probably aren't as good or need to be as good is because Harry Smith's been playing alongside him. Whereas Sinfield, he's got Brody, and Brody would rather Connor or somebody else take that. Yeah. He'll create you kickers into space. So Jack Sinfield, for me, when you compare him with Whitby, which I think is a direct comparison. Yeah. If you look into those stats a little bit, 1, he's producing more scores. And 2, it would appear that Saints are very comfortable giving him the ball and him kicking them and positioning them around the field. And we've had this debate quite a lot around Jack Sinfield. At some point, if Jack Sinfield is going to be the number 7 for Leeds Rhinos, surely a year older, and he's been around longer than Whitby and Farriman, surely when we do this comparison, Jack should be leading it at this stage in his career.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And obviously, the past couple of seasons, you've got to remember Leeds were, pretty average at best, weren't they? Finishing in eighth position. So that's not helped Jack's development in terms of the other two have played in pretty decent sides. George, maybe you could argue Saints weren't at the best when he was coming into that team, but absolutely was a ray of light for them. This is where I talk about the impact. And I've seen more from George Whitby in this one season that he's made some appearances than I've seen from Jack at the moment. And that's the concerning part for me. Is Jack Sinfield capable of stepping up and putting on a show tonight? Absolutely he is, but he has to do it. He has to do it for me tonight. This is the perfect opportunity for him to show what he's capable to play. What is a marquee position in Super League, which for me he hasn't done so far. There's no excuses tonight. He's got to step up and he's got to perform.
All eyes on Sinfield. I think for me, that's where my eyes are going to be tonight. I think that's the bit. And if things are worse than feared with Jake, this lad is suddenly very pivotal to their ongoing challenge in 2025. So it's going to be fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But I do expect Leeds to win, and I do. And the reason I'll be tuning in is pretty much this. This for me is the fascinating narrative tonight. Can Jack Sinfield back up what Mr. Sharp has been saying about him? That's the question. I'm sure Alex will be watching him as well with great interest. But yeah, I'd expect Leeds. You're still going Leeds, yeah?
Yes, yeah. I think. Well, we'll come on to Betstef in a bit, but with Connor being out, I don't think the margin's going to be as big as what people think it'll be. But if Leeds turn it on, then that could be completely wrong. But yeah, I think it's a bit of an unknown tonight, isn't it? Which is good because that makes me want to tune in and watch it.
Yeah.
So I am excited to watch this game, not just the game really doesn't mean a lot. Leeds are going to win. I can't see Catalan winning, but I'm interested in the stories around who's playing and what impact that's going to have on this Leeds side.
Absolutely. Well, what we're going to do is we'll come back to that in a minute because the teams will be announced within the next couple of minutes. So once we've done the next game, we should have the teams and we'll look at what the starting 17s are for both of these two teams that will be going on the field tonight. Maybe that'll give us more to discuss in terms of tonight's big clash at Headingley. Let's move on then to tomorrow night. And of course, the Wigan Warriors taking on Castleford Tigers. Great win last week for the Tigers against a very, very good and respected Wakefield Trinity. Can they back it up? If they were, like I say, the narrative's unbelievable because if they were to turn Wigan over, as highly unlikely as that is, but if they do and Leeds win tonight, we have got a blockbuster in round 27, and we will make no apologies now that next week's captain's run will pretty much be all about that, because that will be absolutely unbelievable if that's what happens. It's unlikely because everything in your fabric, everything in your bones tells you it's going to be a Wigan Warriors win. And why? Because Wigan have won their last 12 meetings against the Castleford Tigers. The Tigers' last win against the Warriors was 16-12 at home on the 7th of February 2020. Wigan have also won their last 10 home games against the Tigers, and the Tigers' last victory at the Brick Community Stadium was 38-20 in the Super 8s 2017. So if that doesn't tell you it's highly unlikely, I don't think anything does. It really is highly, highly unlikely. You then go to the points for, wow. You then go to the points against, wow. It just reads, the closest thing between them is errors and pens. I mean, it's just what and tackle efficiency. We've got to give them that. When I read those stats out to you there, Steph, if you're a Castleford Tigers fan, of course you go and watch your team. Of course you do. You're not Catalan. You travel, don't you? Just saying, Simo. But all jokes aside, you could be forgiven for staying at home listening to stats like that.
Yeah, and it's going to be. I mean, this came back to bite me last week. We all said Wakefield are going to win, didn't we? But I think this one is a different story. And the only way Castleford are winning this is if we're going to have 3 players sent off. That's that which could happen. That is there's going to have to be some factor for me, given. Cass did great against Wakefield, and they should take a lot of pride from that. Or 100%. They that to me showed a lot of character what they did against Wakefield in a team that's been so bad this year. And being a derby, obviously that played a part in it. But to show the character to do that was a phenomenal effort from Cass. However, the problem is they're going against a Wigan side who are now coming into Wigan form. We've seen their dip. I think they were quite close. It was quite a close game, wasn't it, at Castleford between these two, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, mate, to be fair, Castleford have had some really good tight games. So this season, it was 26-20. The season before, again, at Castleford, it was 10-8. So, you know, at Castleford, there's been a couple of really close games. But at the Brick, it does tend to be a pretty much a blowout to the wall.
The problem is for Cass in this one is the pitch at Wigan so wide. That makes a massive difference with Cass with their narrower pitch, and Wigan will exploit that. It's one thing doing it against Wakefield at home, but it's a big difference going to the Brick with Bevan French back, with Jai Field playing like he is, with Liam Marshall coming into form and scoring tries, and Junior Nsemba doing what Junior Nsemba did last season. He started to show in that kind of form as an impact off the bench. So it's not looking good. And like I said, the only way I can see anything being a close game with this is if we're going to have players sent off.
I mean, Wigan have got a great squad there. And, you know, when we spoke to Matt Pete in his press conference, you know, he was delighted that he's got his troops back down the middle. I mean, that's going to be invaluable to him. The thing for Castleford here, and it breaks me heart to say this, is that coming into this game, you see Gary there in picture. Will he play? Possibly on the wing tomorrow night. It's the return of Cini.
Yeah.
And my heart breaks here because I think, and I could be wrong when I say this, I think he might be tempted to put Cini at fullback. I mean, Chris Atkin, we know, had a great game last week. But I think he could be tempted to put Cini at fullback, text Hoy in the halves, put Atkin back at hooker, which he could do. Lewis Senior in centre, which means that young Mr. Windley again will be overlooked in the halves.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is for Chris Chester with this, it's a free hit for him, isn't it? I would play Windley to give him experience. If he is going to be part of your plans for next year, if you seriously think it's going to be a breakthrough. Obviously, they've got Fletcher Rooney as well, haven't they? Cass, who's on, I think he signed a 4-year deal. So there's some young lads there that are going to need some experience. So now's the time to do it in a season that's gone. You know, you're not playing for anything other than pride. So I would definitely put some of the younger lads just to get them big game experience against one of the best teams, if not the best team in the comp.
Yeah, and I think sooner or later you've got to give that lad his head. You've got to give that lad his head, and I just think the fact that, you know, for this game you're seeing Gary back, I'd expect him to go on the wing, and I would. You know, you've got Elliot Wallace there as well, and I'd expect Gary to be shifted straight back in. I think it'd be foolish not to. He's an out-and-out wing, and he's got pace. And you've said about the pitch, you know, if you can get that lad in open field, you're scoring a try. So you know that makes sense. But it's just when I saw Cini in the 21-man squad, I'm just thinking, poor Windley, because you can just see what they're going to do. I mean, and again, it's a big decision that Chester's got in terms of. I mean, Atkin is as good as he was last week. He's not a 7. He's not a 7. He's a 9. So, like, I just see them doing that, and I just feel for Jensen. I really, really do. I think it's such a shame.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Cass fans, but for me, and I'm sure this will be the case with most of the Cass fans, that they'd want to see these younger lads now in a season. The game result doesn't matter to them. They want to see a performance. They want to look into the future of what's going to be, you know, potentially the halfbacks and the younger lads that they've shown faith in by putting them on contracts. And what they can potentially do against teams like Wigan. So this is a perfect opportunity. It's a no lose for them. I wouldn't be surprised if Chester did it. You know, I wouldn't be surprised because, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, absolutely. I just noticed that the teams are coming in, so I'm just doing a little bit on this side at this moment in time. Give us 1 second. I'm literally done, and then because we want to put the teams up in a moment on the fly, ladies and gentlemen, on the fly. As teams are announced, we get on with it.
I'll,
So
I'll answer Greg Roach's question
go
while
for it.
while you're doing that. Then, so
Go for
Greg asked, "Who do we see as the surprise this weekend?" Um,
it.
I
Warrington,
think.
I do.
Well, that with Hull's injuries, I don't think that would be a surprise. That one's going to be quite close, I think, with both the factors in those two teams. But I think the one that's got the highest chance of a surprise is Wakefield against Hull KR. Given what Wakefield have got on the line, Hull KR don't have to win; they're going to win the league next week anyway. They'd like to do it and get it out of the way, I think, this week. But Wakefield at home, who are you know gonna be hurting from that performance last week. Daryl Paulo got into him. I think there could be a surprise on there, but likewise, KR could put 40 on them.
Exactly. I mean, Wakey have got to show an upturn in form because that was well below par against Castleford,
Yeah.
taking nothing away from Castleford. Hard to get excited about this one. It is really because Wigan are, as we've already discussed, should be comfortable winners. The man on screen there, Liam Fowler, if he was to score 2 tries in this game, it'd be 150. And Alex Mellor is going to make his 200th Super League appearance. And I just wanted to pay tribute to these two players because I think, a second rows go steady away most of the time, 8, 9 out of 10. Do a great job. I mean, you look at them; they've both been in 24 rounds this year. They've been pretty much ever present throughout the season. 4 tries apiece, assists very, very close. Bust more Mellor, 57-24. Which is interesting. Look at the tackle efficiencies of them. They nothing in it in terms of meters. It's a shame for me that I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember. Fowler does play right. No, actually, they are on the right side, aren't he? He's playing right now, isn't he? Fowler. He's not playing left. They tend to put Ensemble on the left,
Yes.
don't they?
Yeah.
Or Walters. So it'd be interesting. Hopefully, these two are head to head because I think it's a fascinating little battle. 2 great pros. It'd be a good little tussle, if this one is what we get on Friday night.
Yeah, I'd probably say that these two were the most consistent performers this year for the sides. In terms, like you were saying, 8 or 9 out of 10 every week. Miller's been great in a pretty awful cast side.
Yeah.
I think he would get into most squads in Super League, Miller. I'm not saying he'd be a starter, but I think he would be someone who clubs would consider, even the top 6 clubs. And Liam's obviously coming to the end, but proving the doubters wrong. He's took so much criticism, but then been so consistent. And as a neutral from a Wigan perspective, the Wigan fans have given quite a bit of jip and saying it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I think us all as neutrals have said, well, he's still doing a good job for you at the moment, so maybe I'd let him have one more season.
Absolutely. Team of the week last week, mate. Team of the week last week. Right, let's look at the Leeds Rhinos side. Let's pick the bones out of this. There he is in the scrum half position. Jack Sinfield does, of course, play. No major surprises there. Max Simpson, like I said, when we were looking at the 21-man squad, was expected to be in centre. He is. Chris Hankinson, who I think is getting better in a Leeds shirt. Solid player, Chris. He's on the other side. Front row, Oledsky and Jenkins. More minutes for Oledsky. Looked better last week. Of course, in the team of the week last week, looked better. Jared needs no plaudits. Exceptional season. Gallen and O'Donnell starting in second row with Keenan Palacia. He's done this a few times this year. Started with Palacia at 13. On the bench, Watkins, who's been fantastic on his return. England international James Bentley. Good evening, Mr. Nixon. Sam Lizone and Tom Holroyd. That is in the front row. In the front row in the pack. That's strong. That's strong. They've got plenty there on the bench and starting to cause major problems down the middle. It's the shift to the edges. It's what can Jack Sinfield and Brodie Croft do in the middle in partnership to create the space for Lockie Miller to get the ball wide to Hall and Hankinson. That, for me, is that's the fascinating tale of this game. For me, it's about those halfbacks and their ability to combine and to create the space like we've been seeing for a lot of the season for those outside backs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is going to depend on how Lockie Miller and Brodie Croft link up as well in this game. But the interesting thing for me, and where I think they've got the edge over Catalan, is that we've not done the Catalan team yet, so we'll come to that. But that bench looks really strong for me. Watkins, Bentley, Lizone, and Holroyd is a very strong bench from Leeds. So what I would expect from this game, just looking at that straight away, is it being a tussle for the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. and then Leeds will start to bring on Watkins, Lazzoni, Bentley, and that's where I think we'll start to see Leeds pull away a little bit. So I may be completely wrong, but that's where I see it. And likewise, the back end of the game, I see them running away with it and scoring a few tries as well. So yeah, that'll be the way I see this game going.
Well, this is what they're up against. Espiro Bichet at full back. And we know he's got an error in him, so I expect and again, kicking game. We know Bichet's running game is superb. We know that. He's a threat going forward. It's his defensive positional play. It's the high bombs. So, again, if there was ever a time for Jack Sinfield to show that, one, he can game manage, and two, he can really put the full back under pressure with spiral kicks, really testing kicks, Bichet's good for a mistake at this moment in his career. Again, young lad, learning his trade. He's going to get better in that area. We know he is. But that's an opportunity. Makinson and Yaha on the wings, solid. Steady away. No problems there. Kotrick in centre. Man of steel, Kotrick, But I think Remy Smith, good, solid. Whoever Simpson's up against, he's got his hands full, because both of those two, in terms of experience, in Remy Smith's case, form, he's got his hands full. Luke Keary, Theo Farge in the halves. And let's be fair, there's been moments this season where one of them, I don't think we've seen a game where they've both been in tandem, but we have seen games this year where one or the other have really stepped up. I think for them to do anything to Leeds tonight, they need to sparkle as a combination and individually. I'd say that. Then we go into the front row, Desiree and Neverett. Neverett, steady away player. He's got the minutes in him. He's going to do what he's going to do. Personally, I've always said Desiree is an impact prop. So I'm very, very surprised to see Julien Busquet on the bench. Really am. And I thought they'd have started with Busquet, and I thought they'd have brought Desiree and Satay off the bench. Satay also on the bench, as you can see. Tariq Sims, who I actually think, as Australian imports go, has not let the Catalan Dragons down. I think Tariq Sims has actually played very well for the Catalan Dragons. I wouldn't have any criticism when he's played. Yeah, in terms of his effort, what he's done, I can't have anything bad to say about him. I think he's been stellar. Sivan alongside him, and Ben Garcia at loose, and that for me is massive, because we saw last week Ben Garcia perhaps his best game of the season thus far. By putting him back in his rightful position at 13, that's going to be interesting. So we talked about Catalan Dragons and what's Sinfield going to be about tonight. Ben Garcia back at 13. Imagine if Garcia tonight has a wow of a game at 13. Going back to what you said on Weekly, we had a lot of praise for Steve McNamara, done a great job at Catalan. You said he'd regret the decision of putting Ben out at 13 and at 9. If he goes and has a stellar game today, that perhaps was and no disrespect to Ollie Partington, but that perhaps a piece of the jigsaw that has contributed this season to Catalan being as good, taking Ben out of his best place.
Yeah, well, definitely. And I think the other interesting one is No Da Costa as well in this one. So it'd be good to see how T-Son goes in this one. But when you look at that bench for Catalan, it's not a bad bench from them. Busquets, Sarte, Segar and Zenod. So that's a pretty decent and one that can, combat that Leeds bench. Obviously, the other one for the Leeds is no Andy Ackers. So is Jared O'Connor going to do the full 80? Will he tire in this one? But if you looked at that side at the beginning of this season, if that's the team that Catalan were putting out against Leeds on the opening round, you would say that Catalan have got a good chance of beating Leeds there. That looks like on paper a really strong Catalan side. The difference is we know that they've not been good when those players, and some of them are coming to the end of their careers or whatever. We know now Kiri's not as good as what we expected him to be. So, but I mean, just that Yaha, Smith, Kotrick, Makinson, and Bichet, that looks a phenomenal back five to me. One that you think would trouble most Super League sides. This could be the game when it clicks for them, but I just don't see it. But T-Son's going to be a good matchup against. I was quite impressed with him against Salford. So it's going to be a matchup against O'Connor. I'm interested to see how that one goes.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, there's enough on paper there. I'd have liked to have seen Busquets starting at front row and Desiree on the bench. Personally, I think that would have looked a bit more balanced for me.
Yes.
Bazza Kingston.
Might be a reason for that, though. Might be a reason.
1 minute, we've got to give hello to Bazza. Bazza's in the departure lounge. He's on his way on holiday, I think, and he's tuning in.
Tomorrow. Oh, no, Saturday. Saturday.
I thought it was tonight.
No.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway, you were going to say?
I can't remember.
Fair
You
enough.
just
No drama.
distracted me then
I
with.
just pushed it. Never mind. It'll come back. It'll come back. But look, it should be an interesting game. It's worth tuning in for. Like I say, the narrative where Leeds are concerned around the halfbacks, and yeah, Ben Garcia back at loose. Happy days. Let's see what Ben can do tonight for the Dragons. I'll be watching. It's Thursday night, 8:00. What more do you want? Get the rugby league on.
Vive le Drac. Vive le Drac.
Absolutely. Get it on there. Fantastic stuff. Right. For those who don't know, Kevin Sinfield is off to Wigan on the 16th of September, which is actually it's next week, isn't it? God, that's coming around quick, isn't it? Make sure that you go and support Kev in Wigan. If you live in and around Lee, Wigan, Warrington, you haven't seen the great man speak yet, go to the Wigan event on the 16th of September. And if you put Sinfield 25 at the checkout in the promo code, you'll get 25% off your ticket. So go and see Sir Kevin Sinfield. Believe you me, you will not regret it. Right, let's get into this little beauty. Whoa, this is going to be a game. This is going to be a game. Right, head to head between these two. Saints 8, Lee 5. However, Lee are on a 3-game winning streak. Let's not forget that. They're on a 3-game winning streak. That's right. Last year, Saints, they won the opening fixture last year, 12-4 against the Leopards. But since then, it's been barren for Magic Saints. Lee 46, Saints 4 in round 19. Then round 27, the game that mattered. Lee, great game that. That was a great game as well. Playoff intensity, beautiful game of rugby league. 18-12 in the favour of the Leopards. And then this year, going to the Saints. Another good milestone that for the Leopards. Went to the Saints, won 16-4. So, like I say, happy days. If you're a Leopard, you're on a 3-game winning streak. You've won the last 3 as well. Saints have lost their last 2 against, guess who? KR and Wigan, which is a common theme, isn't it? So there you go. In terms of points for Saints more, and look, again, we look at Saints' defence. Saints' defence is not broken. If there's one thing that Saints have done really well all year, it's defend. Their defence is solid. It's their attacking plays. It's their ability to execute. We know they've had some key people missing. They've come back. Morgan Knowles, which we may as well go there now. That's a massive bonus for Lee going into this game that Morgan Knowles hasn't managed to pass his HIA. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jack Wellesby, will he get a better berth at loose forward? Well, I can't see them not leaving Wellesby at 13 for this game. I'd be surprised if that was to change. So on that basis, it'll be interesting to see Jack at 13, but he's not a natural 13. That's a big bonus, especially with you having lost Tessie New. That sort of evens that one up a little bit, doesn't it?
Right. I was going to say that they'll be happy that they're not facing Tessie New. Yeah. And also Ethan O'Neill has still not made the squad, but we do expect Joe Offangway to come back in for this one. So, it'd be interesting. I think the most interesting thing on Lee's team selection is who they're going to play in that centre spot, whether they put Jack Hughes there, which I think would be a mistake, or whether they put young Badrock, who, whenever he's come into the squad, has been really solid. So, from a bit like we were saying about the younger players at Cass, I would rather see Badrock in the centres and see what he's made of. So
I'd tell you what, I remember, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I remember at the start of 24, McIntosh was centre and Hanley was wing.
Yes.
Does he put McIntosh in the centre alongside Hanley and leave Brandon Charnley on the wings? I'm just throwing it out because I remember that's how that season started, and then of course Hanley came into the centre and he stayed there ever since. So the fact that we've seen Adrian Lamb put Darnell McIntosh at centre previously, will he be tempted to do that?
I can't see it. I can't see it. I think he was going to do. I think he'd more than likely put Charnley into centre, which I think would be a massive mistake. Badrock's a really good defensive centre. He did. I'm pretty sure actually he played in the game at Saints where we won. So and had a really good game. So I think that's what he will do. But you never know. I think it all comes down to fitness, doesn't it? So and who can do the best job, and I just can't see him not putting Badrock in the centre. I think that's what he'll do.
Well, we shall but see. Obviously, even O'Neill not back in the second. Does that mean that Jack Hughes maintains his place in second row, or do you think with Offengawi coming back, he'll put Trout back in there?
I don't know. I think because Tutavake and Aaron Penny have both played really well, so I don't think he really wants to drop them. Me personally, I would drop Jack Hughes and bring off Ngawi in. That's what I would do. Keep Penny, keep Tutavake, because we're going to have to go toe to toe with her. You know, I know Knowles isn't playing, but he's still playing a very big pack in St Helens. Delaney obviously coming back in for this one as well. So I would go with the size of those, and given how well Tutavake and Penny have played in the last few games, they've been a big part in Lee's recent form.
Well, Heather's not a McIntosh fan. She's saying absolutely no for McIntosh. Carrie's going with you on the Badrock one. It will be very, very interesting. In his press conference, he said Hughes or Badrock. Was that second row or for centre? Right, okay. Centre. So, yeah, so it would be Badrock. He's not put, he can't. Jack Hughes hasn't got the legs to play centre. So I think for me, I'm with you. If that's what he said, I've not seen the press conference. So if he said it's a choice between Hughes and Badrock for centre, for me, there is no choice. You've got to play Badrock.
Just quickly on that one, we put Hughes to centre when Tessie New went off against Warrington, and Warrington proceeded to score 2 tries. So that tells you what I think there. So he'll be Badrock.
Fair enough. I mean, look, Shane Wright might get a debut for Saints on Friday night. That could happen. With the absence of Knowles, that could happen. But yeah, like you say, you look down that list. The man pictured there, Delaney. So we've got two returning players down the middle. And do you know what? Let's give Delaney some raps here. You know, we'd all say that since Offengawi has come, he has. He's played really well for Lee. You look at Delaney. Yes, he's not scored as many tries, but his numbers are good. His numbers are good. I mean, you know that if you added 10 games to Offengawi's, he'd blow him out the park, potentially, or it'd be better in most areas, but not a million miles better. I mean, for example, you look at tackles there, Delaney would still be ahead in terms of his work rate. Delaney, 97% tackle efficiency to Offengawi's 92. So, defensively, Delaney's good. Taking the ball forward, he's pretty much on a par. Carries the ball, again, there's an 11-game difference there. So again, you look at it and you think, yeah, again, Offengawi will be slightly ahead on the carries, slightly ahead on the meters. But Delaney, I mean, different stages of the career. And I think that, a lot of the time George Delaney's overlooked at Saints, but I think he's a player that he's growing every year. Yeah. His numbers are getting better every year. And of course, when he broke through, he was the, he was the one that everybody was saying was going to be the new Alex Walmsley. And his numbers are good. So the fact that he's back, that's a good thing for Saints.
Oh, definitely, it's a good thing. He wouldn't be, a starting player for Saints if he wasn't any good. So he's a very good player. These problems are his discipline's terrible. He can't tackle. I think he's a penalty machine at times, and that's where he needs to improve. There's been some tackles he's done that I think the disciplinary panel have got completely wrong and should have been far more severely punished. So that's what he needs to work on. What he has got going for him is his go forward's great. He's no fear. He's tackling when he does it properly. He's very efficient, as the stats show there. Yeah. He doesn't shy away. He's a good middle to have in your team. He's just got some things he needs to get out of his game, but we can excuse him that because he's still young and learning his trade. But Saints are definitely a better side with him in it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great return for both teams. Both teams are better with these two lads in it. But like I say, I just felt it'd have been too easy to put Alex Walmsley up there against Offengawi, and I thought I'm not going to do that. Let's give Delaney his raps. Delaney's numbers are getting stronger all the time, and he deserves that praise. He really does. Great tussle at centre. This is a belter, and I put there a Hanley test because as Yamila Hanley progresses, there's talk of England, he should be in a conversation around England. I think he's, when you look at who we've got for centres, he's still probably not at that level at this moment in time. There's others ahead of him. Not to say that he won't be one day. He's going in the right direction. But he's coming up against a player who, let's be fair, has arguably been in the top 3, maybe 4 centres for the last, 8 years. I would go as far to say, Mark Percival. So this is a real good battle, a really good test for Yamila, because you're coming up against a real seasoned pro on both sides of the ball. And again, let's celebrate what Yamila's done this year. He's played 1 game more, he's scoring more tries, he's got 2 more assists. Now, one of the key areas to Percival's game is his ability to run hard and break tackles. Imala's only 7 behind a player of Percival's stature, which, again, you've got to say fair play. He's putting in more work in terms of the amount of tackles he's doing. What we know about Percival is he puts shots on. Mark Percival's one of those players that, like Ipape, they try and pick and choose the moments, and when they hit, and a lot of the time they force an error. That's not really Hanley's game. Hanley's a bit of a workhorse in defence, and that again is to his credit. And again, look at the work rate, the carries, and the meters. So we know Hanley he should be being compared to a player like Percival. And what he needs to do now, again, so that the neutrals can see his progression, is to go out on a field when he's up against a Percival, a Wardle, like he did with King last week, and dominate him, and actually say, hang on a minute, there's a changing of the guard. He did that with King. King at Wigan was probably one of the best seasons he's ever had. Different version in the Primrose and Blue this year. So he's done it with King. If he does it against Percival, more people will give him even more kudos. And again, it's a step in the right direction in terms of getting that respect from the neutrals.
Yeah, and he needs to do it against St Helens this week for Lee to, I think Lee and Saints are very, very close to each other in terms of quality. The league table says that, doesn't it? So, but if Lee are to get the result on Friday, Maya Hanley is going to be a key factor in that. And if he plays like he did against Warrington, because he was the best player on the pitch by a mile.
Don't tell the Albert Goldthorpe that, mate. Didn't get a point.
I know, yeah. But he was. If he plays like that, then that's going to cause Saints some headaches on Friday night. So it's going to be a really intriguing matchup. But he does, you're right. For him to start being talked about, it's great that he is starting to be talked about as the in England conversation. I think he has got the chance to do that in the next couple of years if his trajectory continues. He needs to work on his defence from a left-handed running at his left shoulder. He can be a bit of a turnstile at times, and that's just going into micro detail on it, but he has seemed to work on that in the last few weeks and has got better. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic tussle between these two and see what happens. Just to address Adam in the chat as well, I did say with Delaney that he got things he needs to work on. So yes, he has got, he is young and he is going to improve 100%, and he's 90% there, I would say, at the moment, Delaney, in terms of a really top prop forward in Super League. Just needs that 10% and he'll get there.
What I would say to Adam, it's good to have Adam's company, don't get me wrong. It'd be lovely to see Adam on something called the Final Whistle podcast, wouldn't it? But as a Saints fan alongside Volstagg. But hey, go and find anybody else this weekend who's going to give Delaney the raps that we've just given. Go and find anyone, because he won't get any. And that's what we like to do, as you know, Adam. I thought we were very fair with Mr. Delaney, Mr. Sale. I thought we were very fair.
Absolutely. And he's talking about cards now. Well, Lee haven't had any red or yellows this season, pal. To tackle him. So there's only we're not a dirty side, mate. So
well, hopefully that don't come back and bite you. Anyway,
we'll get one. We'll get one before the season's out. Absolutely.
I'll tell you what. There might be two given at the same time, because that's where we're going next. If ever there's a card written on an edge, it's this one. I mean, Josh Charnley going up against Kyle Felt. I mean, if this hasn't got niggle in it, I don't know what has. I mean, this, for me, this could be handbags at 20 paces. It really, really could. It's just got it written all over it. They both like a little bit of grub. The dark arts, as Mr. Nixon calls it. They both got it in them. I mean, when you look at Charlie, he's played 16 times this season for Saints. This is Josh Charnley. Josh Charnley, yeah? Played for Lee. Yeah.
You said for Saints.
Sorry, Josh Charnley for Lee. My apologies. Everybody knows what I mean. Right. Yeah. He's played 16 times for Lee, yeah, this year. In a better team than Felt. We've got to say that. Lee this year have been a better side than Felt. And again, Felt, I mean, I've heard conversations, he's not been all that and he's this, that, the other. Don't get me wrong. I think he should concentrate more on his gifts and not get into the niggle. And I think he's got that in his game that actually detracts from his game. But when you consider that Charnley has had 16 appearances this season in a better side and Felt has scored 11 tries more, I think that tells you how well as an individual Kyle Felt is actually playing this season. Yeah. He's doing his job. He's doing his job in terms of scoring tries very well. People will say, who's he got a lot of those against? And I get that, and I understand that. But, at the end of the day, his numbers, they stack up. He's not having a bad season, Fel.
No, he's not. And I think yeah, he's done a lot better, and he has got hat tricks against I think Hull FC and Salford, and he got
Yeah.
4, I think, didn't he? Those against Salford. So yeah, you've got to factor that in. But I think he's been a pretty decent signing for them. He's done a good job. I think if you look on Charlie's stats this year, I think Charlie's really suffered from having Tessie New inside him. As good as Tessie New's been, it's not really gone down that side in an attacking sense. Lee have gone more to the Hanley brand edge this year, and used Tessie more in a battering ram. If you compare those tries from Tessie New and Charlie, I bet Brandon Hanley have got 3 times the amount of tries that those two have got this year. So that's just he's been a victim of the way Lee have played, and a bit of lack of confidence from Charlie this year. Hence why he got dropped from the side following his injury and didn't really get back in. McIntosh was in there, no reversed. So, but what Charlie does need to do is he needs to show why he deserves a contract for next year, and there's no bigger game to do it in than this one against quality NRL opposition.
Do you think that 80 minutes will pass without these two having a spat?
No, probably not. They'll but that's we want to see in the right way. That's what we want to see, isn't it? That's what we watch the game.
Imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that, mate. It's going to be,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't mind you sit on that side of the ground. I mean, you could be in for a treat because I think there'll be a bit of verbal going on between them. I think.
I hope they do, because one thing I know with Josh Charnley is whenever you wind him up, normally that motivates him to put an hat-trick on you, or he especially at Leeds Sports Village in front of that North stand, if he was to go over for the match-winning try, then it would be very popular in League, put it that way. But Carl Felt could equally do that for Saints, and what I do expect from Saints is to test Charnley with the high ball, put Carl Felt running onto it, because he has got that height advantage. And I do see some attacking kicks from Lomax into that corner, and because it'll be his centre, it'll be Badrock, won't it? So again, inexperienced. So yeah, I can definitely see Saints targeting that left side. Yeah.
And look, the bottom line is as well. I think when you've got a player like Felt, and again, this is part, and I think Baz has hinted at it in his comment there in the chat, is when you've got a player like Felt, it's like when Warrington had Joe Monaghan. Joe Monaghan was exceptional in the air. So they peppered that side all the time. And Monaghan's try ratio to appearances was just ridiculous for Warrington. And Felt's the same. And I think that when Dagnall was there, they seemed, because Dagnall was playing so well, it seemed to even up. But I think, I could be wrong when I say this, but they do seem to have been almost one trip this year. They've been going to that side on last play more often than not, and I think that's detracted from Saints this year. I think they've been almost too easy to play.
Yeah, I think it's been Dagnall missing a big. Like we've mentioned Knowles. I think Dagnall's a big miss for them as well, because he was showing some really good sign. Really, really like the look of the way he played the game. His physique as well. He looked like an NRL winger, Dagnall. And I think that was coming. He was getting his confidence as he was getting more game time. So I think that is, it takes a bit of attacking threat away from Saints. So probably a good thing for Lee that Dagnall isn't playing.
Happy days, Captain's Run. We hope you're enjoying this every Thursday before the big kickoff. Nobody builds up to the next round of Super League quite like we do. We're going for each and every game. We hope you're enjoying it. I'm sure you are. And if you enjoy Super League Raw, if you've not been with us before, then get on this tomorrow night at 10:15. The Super League Raw full-time phone-in is here. Yes, it's an on-screen phone-in. You will phone in. You will come in. We will give you a link in the description on YouTube. You click that link. You follow the instructions, and you can be where Mr. Sale is right now. And you can be telling me about your Lee Leopards, your St. Helens, your Leeds Rhinos, your Castleford Tigers, your Wigan Warriors. All of these teams that are playing in the next 48 hours, ladies and gentlemen. Well, actually, probably 24, isn't it? Just over. You can talk about on the only post-game phone-in that you're going to find anywhere. We are breaking new ground every single year. We've got more great shows planned for next year that, again, will be groundbreaking. But this one, we really want you to be a part of it. Do come on 10:15. Once all the interviews are over on Sky, get on here and tell us what you think about your team. Mr. Sale, I'm pretty certain that once you get yourself home, you'll be tuning in for that.
I'll be tuning in and I won't be phoning in because I'll be too tuned in.
Absolutely, yes. Wouldn't expect anything less there, sir. You enjoy your nights in that hospitality. But yeah, bottom line is make sure that you come and join us. Let us know what your thoughts are on all the games up to that point. It'd be great to have your company. Right, we now move on to the Saturday fixtures. Warrington Wolves taking on Hull FC. Just a quick caveat as well. Brad Dwyer, if he plays, it's 250 Super League appearances for Brad tomorrow night.
Wow.
If he
He's been knocking about a bit now, Brad, hasn't he? So
he has another Monopoly board. He's he rivals Gaz O'Brien.
Just while we're talking him though, very quickly, he has played very well since he's come back because he was another one that was a bit of an outcast at Lee, not really getting in the side, sticking with Ben McNamara. But he's had an impact since he's come back into the Lee side and definitely in a positive way. So I fully expect him to be playing against Saints this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Hull FC versus the Warrington Wolves. Right, okay, the history between these. Warrington edged it 38-25. They've actually played out 3 draws as well in that time. 4-1 to the wire, which is really interesting. Of course, in round 7, Hull FC beat Warrington at the HJ 28-16. Warrington winning 24-10 on the return in round 16. This, of course, a loop fixture. So this one is for the trilogy. Again, to just try and make a bit of a narrative on it. Who are going to take the spoils over the course of the season? Is it FC? Is it Warrington? That's what they're playing for. Of course, FC are still playing to finish in the top 6 at this moment in time. I do feel if they was to lose to the Warrington Wolves, it would be pretty much Wakey's there playing Salford. And again, that's not to say that Salford can beat them, but you'd probably say at that point Salford will be back favourite to finish in the top 6. Form-wise, both of them pretty poor. Hull FC slightly better. Points for a few more there from FC. It's the defence. I mean, every time we've looked at this graphic as the season's gone on, Warrington's defence has been the real problem this season. They've leaked far too many points, and again, it shows where FC have come from and to, because for FC at the start, if you'd have said to an FC fan you will concede less points than Warrington Wolves this season, they probably gone, I'd have took that based on Warrington being the best defence in Super League 2024, and I think that it shows how well Cartwright has done defensively, because it is an improvement year on year. And the big headache that Sam Burgess has got, that despite one thing that should never change, his commitment to defence, and for whatever reason this year it's been lacking.
Yeah, but I would caveat though with the injuries that Warrington have had, what it does do is it disrupts that trust with the person next to you, and knowing what they're going to do, and it's a bit like in attack, it's a similar thing. I mean, every Super League player should be able to defend. It's like your minimum standards, isn't it? And it will be disappointing for Warrington, but defense is an attitude as well, and that's where I think with what's gone on at Warrington this year, and the word culture's bandied about, isn't it, and all that kind of thing. And there's obviously some problems at Warrington, and I think that does show with that. Sam will be devastated as a player that was defensively brilliant. To concede that many for his side, he will be that. I think that'll be the most upsetting thing for him.
Couldn't agree with you more. Defence, as you say, is the minimum standard. It's the minimum standard in any rugby league game, and that has been Warrington's Achilles heel. You cannot concede the points that Warrington have this season and expect to be in that top 6. It's as simple as that. Right, let's get to the 2 21-man squads, and like I say, massive holes in there. I'll get the Warrington one out of the way first. I don't expect to see James Duffy. I think Stefan Ratchford will remain in the centres. I don't expect to see Tom McKinney. Ewan Irwin as well. I think he drops out. And then after that, probably Kai Taylor-Ray. I think it'll be a very similar. They're saying that Ewan Smith's in there as well. So somebody's coming in. I don't know. I mean, of those, Tom McKinney for me is the most likely. Maybe in fact, or Ewan, because of course you might feel, because Ewan only had that 1.5 minutes on debut, you might think, let's give Ewan a run out. I don't know, but Max Wood, I think definitely will be in the 17. I think he'll come in for the Warrington Wolves this week. But yeah, it's either going to be McKinney for me or Smith. I'd be surprised if it was James Duffy, as well as Duffy played on his debut, I think Stefan will probably see the season out now. The last 2 games, I could see that happening. As for
do you see Taylor A maybe having a chance against rather than
well,
Dufty?
well, we thought that last week. I think if that was going to happen, it happens last week again. But what we know about Sam is that he's not afraid of dropping players. So a lot's going to depend on how he saw Duffy's performance. I mean, Duffy, to be fair, scored one, made one. So, so from his perspective, he might look at that and go, okay, that was good enough. So, no, I don't. I think Kai probably now will be left for the reserve final in 2 weeks' time if it was a betting man, mate. But I've been wrong before. I think if that change was coming, it comes last week. As for for FC, massive holes. We're going to probably see the Kent boys again. We're probably, Liam Watts is back, which is a bonus for them. Esser's back there as well, which is good. Jordan Lane been announced he's going to the Castleford Tigers. So, this is this his last home game? Have they got 2 home games left or 1? Is this Jordan Lane's final game at the MKM?
No, they play Catalan at home next week.
Right, so that'll be his last game then. Thanks for that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see what team he puts out, because it's going to have kids, it's going to have youth in there. You look at who he's got to pick. He's going to have to change things. I mean, yeah, I think Kemp stays in. I think Kemp stays in at centre. I thought he put himself about really well.
Yeah, he did. But there's you look down that team, the names. It's still a pretty decent FC team. That apart from the Kemp and Kirkby, who else is not normally a one you'd expect you could see. So they brought thingy back, haven't they, as well? Barnforth from Catalan to thingy, which I think that's a good move. I think Barnforth's played well for Catalan. So I think there's still enough there for this to be a really close game, and I fully expect this to be the closest game of the round.
I think it'll be an intriguing contest. A few people in the chat asking, is Matt Dufty going to York? All I would say is Warrington have announced who the departures are to this point. I do not think they will be the only departures, is what I'm willing to say at this moment in time, is what I would say. In terms of will Dufty go or stay, that has not been decided as yet, to my knowledge. I can say that. But if he was to go, would I be surprised? No. If he was to stay, would I be surprised? No. It's going to be interesting to see, but there's certainly more people going to be exiting the Warrington Wolves between now and the start of the new season. And of course, there'll be players to come in. But like me and Steph were talking about where Warrington were concerned, guys, this week on the phone, don't kid yourself into thinking that Warrington need to go and sign a shed load of players. When you actually look at who's to come back in, Aaron Lindop is now a starting centre in Super League. He's at that point in his career. Warrington have got to back the lad. They have to back him. We've got Ashton's coming back. So there's no issues there. There's rumours, of course, of an NRL centre coming in. That's to be confirmed. So that'll be the centre spots. Roderick Ty is reportedly to be remaining. And as I said to Steph, Roderick Ty was undroppable in 2024. Not costing an awful lot on the cap. So Roderick Ty to come back as well. So when you actually start to look at Jimmy Harrison, another case in point, they've announced 3 prop forwards are coming in. So you start to look at it. They're not going to have to go out and buy. I think they probably need to go and get another 3 or 4 players in of quality. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I think when you see so many people leaving and perhaps even more to go, you could be fooled to thinking Warrington need 8 or 9 players. You don't need 8 or 9 players. Because of the pathways and because of what they've got coming through, Warrington will be blooding and giving the head to the likes Kai Taylor-Ray, Aaron Lindop, Jake Fulis. I mean, ask yourself that question. Jake Fulis is top try scorer at Warrington this year. That lad's sniffing in and around the first team next year. Now, if, to answer Keith's question around if Duffy was to go, Kai Taylor-Ray, they might even put Josh Fulis back there so that Jake stays in the team. So there's loads of things there that Warrington have got to go and iron out in terms of how they want to go and attack 2026. It's not as bad as perhaps people think that it is. But I do think they probably need, if the sign of the centre is true, I think for me, another 3, maybe 4 quality signings with what has gone and with the players that are to come back, they won't look too bad. Is what I
Yeah,
was.
well, they need to. For me, Warrington need to decide what they want to be. Do they want to be do they want to be a youthful team who's building for the future, taking advantage of the youth development that they've got there at Wire, or do they want to do what they've done for the past few seasons and recruit all the NRL players?
Well, what about
So
Travojevic, aren't they? Tom
yeah, or
Travojevic has been rumoured. Now, that for me is
that's
not
for next.
likely.
It's for the year after that, though, isn't it? He's not. He's under contract next year at
But
Manly. So
I mean, I hope with every fibre of my being that that's a rumour, because why would you do that?
yeah,
Why would you do that? As good a player as he is, how much is he going to cost? How much salary cap he's going to take up in a position that you've got Kai Taylor-Ray, you've got at this moment in time, we've still got Flynn Holden who's coming through. He's not decided what he's doing yet. There's a lad called Lachlan Webster underneath him. Warrington have got really good, talented players that can play fullback coming through. They've got adaptable players in the squad like Josh Fulis who could deputise as well if injuries were there. To go and again, it's like the sailor. Why bring a player in when it's covered? That position is covered. There's other positions that Warrington, for me, need players more so than fullback. And I think that really does worry me. Really, really worries me. Right, just for timing purposes, let's just give a little bit of a tip to the actors, to Stefan Ratchford. Of course, he retires. Been at Warrington since 2012. Of course, these stats include Salford as well. I'm not discounting Salford, but the majority of his season has been, his career has been Warrington Wolves. 466 appearances, 135 tries, 679 goals, a 56% win ratio with the Wire. Played 6 times for England, 83% win ratio when playing for England. That's good effort. There won't be many players that play 6 times for England. And just a caveat to that, that's not France. And I mean, I think France was in there 11 wins, but he played New Zealand as well. So,
yeah.
it's not, they weren't all gimmies though. So, like I say, well done to Stefan Ratchford. We wish you well. And I'm sure you'd echo a great career and incredible what he's done for our sport.
Yeah, I remember when he first started for Salford because they were in the Championship then again playing against Lee, and it was him and Myler, I think, were bursting onto the scene there. But no, he's had a great career at Warrington, and he deserves. He's a club man there, isn't he? And he deserves to be kept on in a coaching capacity or whatever at Warrington. He's been very loyal to them. So well done, Steph, on your career, mate.
Absolutely. Don't forget, we are back at the Bluebell, 24th of September, 7 p.m. The only Super League quiz. Please come down and enjoy that live in the pub with us. It'd be great to have you company. Great prizes on the night. They're there to be announced, but they were well worth winning as always. And if your other half doesn't like rugby league, there's a concurrent quiz that runs alongside it that's general knowledge. So no excuses not to come. 7 p.m., 24th of September at the Bluebell in Warrington. Please come and join us for that. Right, let's move on to this one. Wakefield against Hull KR. KR, of course, they win this. It's done. It's dusted. It's over. It's theirs anyway. It's already done and dusted. It's over. Let's be absolutely crystal clear on that. Mikey Lewis, not seen Bet Stef yet. We're going to get, for those people who say slow down, can't slow down, but Steph just told me he's got to get off at 1:30, so we're in a rush now. He's making me get a right wriggle on, so I do apologise for that. So we'll have to batter these now. I thought I had him for the whole evening. He's just landed it on my toes. Mikey Lewis, Steph, has scored a try in the last 5 meetings against Wakefield. Tom Davis has scored a try in the last 3. Don't know if they're on your bet, Steph, but there you go. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Super League history, 1917. Lovely. Nice and close. 5-0 though. 5-0 to KR. Mike McMeekin will make his 300th career appearance. Tom Johnston needs 1 try to get to 100 for Wakefield Trinity in 2 berths. Of course, we know that KR go into this as favourites. 2 very, very strong rosters. Like we've already intimated, Steph, it's vitally important that Wakefield show something in this. If they're going to do anything in the playoffs, they've got to start showing that a better attitude and a better performance than what they've been dishing up of late.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the one where he brings Jarrett back for me. They've definitely missed that. And I know you dropped him because of performances or whatever, which was, his prerogative to do so. But, Jarrett's been one of their best players since they went down. And came back up again. So I think they'll put him back in for this one. But I would put him in at 6. And with him and Lino, have Rourke at fullback. I think that's the best with those players. I'm not saying necessarily the best position, but for what they've got, that works the best for me. And I think we may see that given the
Well,
what happened last week.
something's got to change last week. They need impetus. But look, Kai Rodwell's there as well. So that's interesting. You know, Kai's had a shocking year for injuries. You know, so again, that could be a real bonus for Wakey if they can get Kai back on the field and fit. That adds to their middle unit. That's good news for them. Of course, you know, KR just in great fettle going into this. Just a quick one. Broadbent again. I'm pretty confident Sky will be talking about Mikey Lewis. They'll talk about Arthur Morg. They'll talk about Tyrone May. They'll talk about Jez Litton. This man, for me, is so critical to KR. What he's been producing this season. Again, yeah, he can have a man of the match performance, but then he doesn't get highlighted the week after as a potential threat. It's almost like he gets an award for a man of the match and then he's forgotten about again, which is really odd. But I mean, those stats, incredible. And when you consider the variety of roles that he's played, Broadbent for me, I mean, look, I'd have no qualms if Broadbent, and it won't happen, but if Broadbent walked through the door at the Dream Team launch, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I can see it. It won't happen. But would it be filthy like I was with Matty Lees last year? No, I wouldn't. I'd be quite comfortable. Jack Broadbent in a Dream Team shirt, quite comfortable because we're into the detail. This lad's had a great season.
Yeah, he has. He's been phenomenal, and it's a difficult when you're playing a utility role. You know, being asked to play on the wings, centres, fullback, whatever. It's difficult to get your form going, to get everything. But no matter where they put him, he's been brilliant. He's been 8, 9 out of 10 every week. Still a young lad as well. Coming into a new side, he's been brilliant for me, and he should be pushing Dream Team. He should be, and I really like him in that centre role. Obviously, they've got Gill. It'll be interesting next season what happens with Gildart for me. Whether the I think Gildart would be a prime candidate for one of the new promoted sides, wouldn't it? As a quality, someone you bring in on pretty decent money. But yeah, it's night and day between Gildart and Broadbent. He's been fantastic.
He has indeed. And another person who's got an outside chance at Dream Team is Mike McMeekin. It's an outside chance. He's definitely in the conversation. I think SASA and Wormsley are probably, for me personally, statistically, in terms of, I always say, a prop forward's job is to run hard down the middle, create meters, offload the ball, make it stick, and bust your way through it. Don't be fooled by people who aren't into the detail who says that Alex Wormsley is a knock-on machine. He's not. So we'll just get rid of that straight away. But Mike McMeekin, no doubt about it. Again, look at that. 22. I mean, when this guy went, we thought, astute, got my name captain. People were like, really? Yeah, leader of men. Really good. And he's backed it up. 22 appearances, tries, 6 assists from a front rower. That's good going, that. By anybody's standards, that's good going.
Yeah.
He's just got a great all-round game. Mike McMeekin, again, you wouldn't be filthy if Mike McMeekin was in the Dream Team.
I think he should be, Dave. I think I would have Wormsley and McMeekin. I think SASA we had a great start to, really good start to the season, but he did have that dip in form in the middle. Obviously, probably correlates to some of the Hull FC injuries and Asiata not being there or whatever. But SASA had a dip, whereas I think McMeekin's been 9 out of 10 every game for Wakefield, pretty much, that he's played in. Only missed a couple of games, but he's their leader. He's been phenomenal for them, and he makes a big difference when he's on the park for Wakefield.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating game. And you know what? If Wakey turn up and OK are not on it, they could fall. They could absolutely fall. Equally, as you've already said, Steph, if KR are on it and Wakefield are not at their optimum, they will get rolled. There's no doubt about it because KR in full flow, very few teams can live with them when they're in full flow. But it should be a belting game. Great game. And of course, the last game of the weekend, we don't need to go into this too much. It is Salford against Huddersfield. Does anybody really, I'm not being disrespectful, does anybody really care? No. Will I be watching it? Yeah, of course I will. It's a Sunday afternoon game. Why wouldn't I be watching it for my Sunday dinner?
It's probably one of those that will turn out to be a great game.
Yeah, exactly. A feast of rugby league where you just sit back, you don't really care, and actually they turn it on. Do I care who wins? No, not really. I don't think anybody does other than Huddersfield and Salford fans. Maybe the odd neutral would want Salford to win, probably, from a sentimental perspective. But like I say, nobody really cares. And
right. Would be, yeah. It's their. I think they've got a home game, unless it's their final away game, isn't it, this year for Salford fans? So it'd be interesting to see how many of how many fans from Salford go, because Potentially could be their last ever away game in Super League for the
For a while.
foreseeable future. Yeah.
I think administration is calling. And again, in the same spirit as we did with Stefan Ratchford, before we get to Betster, it's only right and it is only appropriate that we say thank you to Leroy Cudjoe. Now, I was a little bit, I couldn't even be bothered replying. I put him down as a legend. And it depends what you, now, am I saying legend in terms of the greats of the British game? Of course I'm not. But is Leroy Cudjoe a legend of British Rugby League? Absolutely. He's been an exemplary professional. He's been loyal to the Giants. He's had good times, he's had bad times, and he's always stood up, always performed 9 out of 10. And for me, that's what I mean when I say legend. This is a guy who deserves to be revered by neutral fans for the great servant in the game that he's been, the man that he is, the things that he does for that community. You know, he is he's almost irreplaceable as a package for Huddersfield Giants. He's been that good. And I'm not a Huddersfield fan. So those who were getting a bit filthy with me saying, don't disrespect legends, that I'm not, believe you me, I'm telling you now, those people that we call legends would look at this man and have nothing but the highest praise for him. And they would have loved to have been in the dressing room with him. And had they been in the dressing room with him, and those who have been in the dressing room with him, let me tell you now, they would put him in the bracket of legend because he is everything a rugby league player should be. It's a real shame to see a player of this quality leave us, but what memories he's give the Giants fans and what memories he'll leave with the wider community.
Yeah, and it's a bit like Jermaine as well, McGilvery there at Huddersfield when he left. Another one I would say is definitely a legend of Huddersfield. But he's played 10 games at the highest level as well for England, so he deserves to be in the category. Is he one club only? Good Joe. Oh, his whole career, yeah. So when you've got a player who's a one club man who's played at England, 100% is a legend in Huddersfield. And you don't always have to be the greatest. You don't have to be an Alex Murphy or a Brian Bevan or to be a legend. Sometimes the stuff that you do on and off the pitch can qualify you as that as well. If you see the game as a bigger picture than not just what's in front of your eyes.
Adam Walsh said icon, another good word. Absolutely a Super League icon. And lovely that he got that League Leaders Shield. It's great that he was a part of that at the time. And again, look at his England win percentage. And of course, Leroy Cudjoe was centre in the semi-final of the 2013 World Cup. That's how good a player Leroy Cudjoe was. And think of how many centres we're knocking about at that time. And this man donned that shirt in the semi-final. So Leroy, sir, I salute you. Absolutely salute you. And Greg Roach is filthy with me because he cares and Matty Timms cares about this game at the weekend. But the good news is they care more about going and filling the tummy after at a curry house under the Super League Raw banner. Well done, boys. Enjoy that curry. Right, Steph is going to plough through this and then he's getting off. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Stef.
Okay, so if you fancy losing some money this week, I've backed Castellan Dragons plus 26.5. No Jake Connor, so I do expect a Leeds win, but I think that's a very healthy start for the Catalan Dragons. Leeds could overcome it, but I just fancy the Dragons in this one. Wigan minus 32. I think there's going to be a show on at the Brick. The wide pitch, Bevan French and Field performing. I expect a bit of a points fest there. Lee minus 4.5. This one's a bit of a could go either way. It'd be a very interesting one, but I'm going to back Lee. Wakefield plus 7.5. I see that as a really close game. If Wakefield are up for it and really want to secure that playoff position, it's going to be a cracking game, I feel, at the DIY Kitchen Stadium. So I have gone Wakefield 7.5. And I've backed Hull FC minus 6.5. They have got some young lads in. But that Warrington team, what Lee faced last week, I was not impressed with at all. It's going to be an attitude thing with these two. Who's going to have the best attitude? I just think Hull FC at home, battling for that playoff spot, will try and put everything in it. So I've got Hull FC minus 6.5. And in the any try scorer, I've gone for Harry Newman in tonight's game, Junior Nsemba at Castleford, Wigan tomorrow, and Amaya Hanley in the Lee Saints game, and that'll return you 18-1.
Wonderful, mate. Wonderful. Yeah, again, I'm going back to it. I like that. I do. But Mikey Lewis on a scoring streak, Davis on a scoring streak, maybe the Harry Newman one out, one of them in. I don't know.
The odds are terrible.
Are they?
That's why I don't pick them.
Fair enough. But no, I think, do you know what? Yeah, I think the Nsemba's a great shout. The way he played at the weekend, I think him coming off the bench again, and that's a great shout. Harry Newman's in good form. Who knows? Don't know about your fivefold. I think there's a lot of ifs and buts there, but I think your 3 try scorers, if I was putting £1 on one of them, I think I'd be backing his try scorers. Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely outstanding. The captain's run, you can't beat it on a Thursday. Do come and join us tomorrow night, 10:15. Once the game's over, the only phone-in that you're going to find on the great game of rugby league. You have now got 20 minutes to make your burger, get it to your fridge, make sure your beers are there, because Stef's got to leg it now. He's got to pick his door up, so he's back in time for the game. On behalf of me and on behalf of Stef, you enjoy your night of rugby league, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.